Hello everyone, and welcome to what is going to be the last episode of the Rainy Plays Games podcast for the year 2025. There's another Tuesday, so we're making it happen, and this is going to be both a reflection on the year that was 2025, strictly in terms of the podcast, because the year 2025, good riddance, and a look forward into the year 2026, what I would like to do that I didn't do this year, or just plans that I have, things I want to change up as I'm getting a little better at managing my time with the podcast. Knock on wood. I'm already rambling. Let's go ahead and talk about the year 2025. For the Rainy Plays Games podcast, it was a really good year, I think. I don't have a whole lot of people to discuss and compare numbers with or anything like that, but in the spirit of true transparency, I want to let people know about what I got going on and how I feel like it went and the numbers that I think maybe back that up. First off, this is only the second year of this podcast feed, and I hit 10,000 downloads in the year 2025 alone, like 10,000 downloads from January 1st, 2025 till when I'm recording this on the 29th. That is crazy to me that many people downloaded and listened to episodes of my silly little games and talking and everything that I do. So thank you for being even one of those. And if you are responsible for many of those, thank you so much. I am so glad that you are enjoying what I do, and I hope that I bring a smile to your face or help you, get through those boring tasks like washing the dishes and doing laundry while you can listen to me excite myself and get lost in a story that is happening on the spot. That's really awesome. 10,000 downloads is crazy. We'll see if I can replicate that in 2026. And yeah, just thank you for being with me for this journey and these games. Speaking of the games, I played 15 different games on the podcast this year, which strangely is the exact number of games that I played last year on the channel. Just to go through the list, for solo games, I've played obviously Ironsworn Sundered Isles, my second season, and Colossal, the second season I've played of it. This is the first on the Rainy Plays Games podcast feed. I also played one-player one-shots of The Librarian's Apprentice by Almost Bedtime Theater, aka Dan Bronson-Lowe, who was on this channel to play a game at the beginning of this year. We played I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic together. I played Spellbook by D. Valeris, who I found out is a huge Arsenal fan, so go Gunners. Let's go if you like your Premier League soccer. I played Pilgrimage of the Sun Guard by Amanda P., which was a great little on-rails story game with a lot of variation in what might happen, and I really like that game. It made me think a lot about how to write adventures, especially from a solo perspective. Definitely go check that game out. I played Two Hand Path by Mikey Ham, which is so underrated. People, and rightfully so, laud Slug Blaster for being an incredibly well-designed game, super cool, very fun. But check out Two Hand Path by Mikey, because that game is really fun, and it came up again recently in a conversation I was having with someone. I really want to revisit how Mikey came up with the maps for the post-apocalyptic modern wizard shenanigans of that game, and I think it's just really clever, simple dungeon design that goes a long way. I played Bow by Hatchlings Games, who I love Hatchlings Games. That is another one of their Carta games. This one was about divers during a competition of the shoaling every year. I like that game a lot. Always fun to play a Carta system. And the other solo game that I played this year was Midnight Melodies by Cesar Capacla, who I would love to play more games of his on the podcast. I've played a few now, but I really just love Cesar's designs and how his games somehow always unravel into super, super awesome stories. So go support Cesar. Incredible game designer. The group games that I played, in addition to I'm Sorry, Did You Say Street Magic, which I mentioned earlier with Dan from Almost Bedtime Theater, I played Starcrossed twice this year with my wife on this channel for Valentine's Day, and we came back and did it again on Halloween for a ghost and the house that it is haunting. That game is great. Enough has been said about Starcrossed that if it's not already on your radar or something you want to play, I don't know what you're doing. I played Hunter Hunted by Dylan Apellion of the One Shot Network fame and Megan Cross, another great designer, with Troy as part of, I think me and Troy did 2 or 3 games together for Tabletop Tutorial this year. We did Hunter Hunted and we did The Time We Have. So yeah, and we did Wraithhound last year. So Troy and I like to play our 2-player games and tend to like ones that are pretty emotionally brutal. So Hunter Hunted is a really good one. There's a fun little racing, sort of get to doubles before the other person so you can take the turn and get the advantage on them running away or hunting them. Super great, fun game, recommend. Like I said, we played The Time We Have, Troy and I, which is by Elliot Davis, who you can listen to more blueberries on the internet, but go and check out Elliot on Talk of the Table, which is an incredible interview RPG podcast, and he's also part of the Many Sided Media Network and does, My First Dungeon and stuff like that. Great podcaster, great game designer. Time We Have, brutal. And then recently we did The Witch is Dead, which was a spooky month one-shot, which is a Grant Howitt shenanigans, and so was Christmas is Coming for our holiday one-shot. So we like our Grant Howitt one-page absolute chaos engine games. Those are right up our alley, and those were both really fun. They devolve into absolute shenanigans, and honestly, I think Christmas is Coming was great, and I'm fully on board with the town of Bean Tree being the setting for our holiday one-shots moving forward in perpetuity. So yeah, by downloads and by episodes, that was and I did 56, including this, 56 episodes this year, which means that I put out more than one a week. That's 4 bonus episodes, so I stayed quite busy editing nonstop, but that feels good to me. I like consistency. I don't want to miss episodes, so for those of you who stuck around for all of them or listened to a good chunk of them and were patient for the few in the latter half of the year that I was late on, thank you. I'm trying to play a lot of games. Moving on to perspective checks, there are some statistics that I think are interesting. One, they download pretty well. I think people like listening to me talk to other people they may not know about, creators, actual play performers, designers, all these people from the TTRPG community. They do pretty well. And also, this year I had more women on as guests than men, which is cool. And yeah, I just like to get different perspectives. I'm still working on the racial diversity, and I've reached out to some people and hope to have them on for next year. And I want to kind of focus on designers a little bit for next year, but it doesn't really matter. I just want to get more voices, more perspectives, and try and see if we can find any overlapping ways to just continually make this hobby and this space better. I highly recommend listening to Kat the Dungeon Mom and my recent episode that went up this month about creating better communities for the TTRPG space, thinking of it like a village, thinking more locally, but I did a good amount on community this year. So, listen to my episode with the Dungeon Degrees duo, Adrian and Alex. Listen to me talk to Matt Calder. There was a lot of talk. Peach from the Dice Sisters, a lot of talk this year about community and making it a safer place and more fun place for everyone to play games. And if community was the sort of underlying mini theme of last year's Perspective Checks interviews, I'm hoping that design or game writing or running the game in particular ways is my sub-theme for 2026, but we'll see what happens, who I book and who I get on. I already have a few folks set up for next year. I already have some interviews recorded, and I just got to start editing them. So we'll see what comes of it. Now, looking forward to 2026. None of this is set in stone, so if you are listening to this and you want to give me your opinion on it, please do. You can email me at rainyplaysgamespod@gmail.com. You should join the DMs After Dark Discord, and we can talk about it if you have ideas of games you'd like to hear me play, or ways I could be doing something slightly different. But I've done pretty much the same schedule. I've stuck to the same routine for both year 1 and 2 of this podcast, and I do slightly want to shift it a little bit in year 3. So here's my idea, and if you feel any kind of strongly about this one way or another, find a way to let me know. I would honestly love to hear what your thoughts are on it and what you listen to this podcast for, because I'm mostly doing this for myself. It holds me accountable to play games, and I'm super grateful that people are listening and hopefully getting new ideas and finding new games out of it and anything like that. But in the end, I'm trying to play for me, trying to do what I enjoy as well. So here's an idea of what I'm thinking. It's not a huge shift for 2026, but tell me what you think of this. In the past 2 years, weeks 1 and 3 were always an actual play, and it is going to remain that way for 2026 and moving forward as long as I can think of, because there's no shortage of games for me to play. They are going to continue to be solo because that's just easier for me to find the time to record and edit to do that. I will still try and get group games on as often as I can, usually for themes, holiday times, things like that, but we'll see what I can do. However, the tiny shift is, once Colossal is done, and I imagine there's probably 5 to 6 more episodes left in that, would be my guess, I'm debating doing even shorter seasons or series of solo actual plays, because there are so many games that I would love to play and have not yet really gotten a chance to. Now, I know some people really love those long character commitment, character development kind of games. I am more of a variety is the spice of life kind of person and enjoy playing games, getting really into what that game is trying to deliver on theme and just diving face first into it, but not swimming all day, if that makes sense. That's a terrible analogy. But, there are games that I want to play that I don't know, and this isn't about, is there an audience out there to listen to it? Because every game has an audience somewhere. People will find something they jive with, but things like, I really want to play Cairn. I'd love to play that with a group, but I'd also love to play that solo. I've seen a lot of people do that, some kind of OSR stuff, and see how that feels. Something maybe a little more deadly, a little more player skill versus character skill. I'd love to do The One Ring, because my wife and I recently rewatched the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, and I've had the Lord of the Rings on my reread list for a few years now, and you know what? I think I'd love to explore Middle-earth for a bit. And then there are other games that are just interesting, and I don't know if I can make a full season out of, but I think that a one-shot wouldn't do it justice. Things like a game that came out called The Hidden Isle recently, and that uses tarot cards. That looks really interesting. I'd love to do a little season of Fox Curio's Floating Bookshop. That looks super adorable and right up my alley. Mapamundi by 3 Sales, which came out and is kind of like what if Pokemon existed, but there was no battling. Tell me that's not right up my alley. Things like that where I don't know if I get 10 episodes out of some of those, but I can get 4 maybe, and that would be 2 months, and then I can move on to the next thing. If you're particularly strong feeling about shorter series as an idea, please do let me know what you think of that. Similarly, week 2 is always a Perspective Checks episode, and that is not going to change. I love interviewing people. It is some of my favorite stuff that I do here in this nerdy community, is just meet new people who have such fun ideas, and we can have conversations about not just nerdy games and the silly things we do with them, but how you can think about them deeper, how they do mean more than just silly little games, etc. Perspective Checks will roll on, no changes there. The big change I'm thinking is week 4's always kind of been a grab bag week. I was doing mining media pretty consistently for a while, and then I, have done some design diaries, I've done some one-player one-shots and stuff like that. I want 2026 to be a year where I put out more games. In 2025, I only put out 1 game, and it was actually only 2 new cities for Mech, which I put out towards the end of 2024. I have a lot of games rattling around in my brain, as you've heard me talk about many times on this podcast, and I want to get them out. And so I'm thinking that week 4 in 2026 will be a hyper-focused episode on my design process and where I'm at with a particular game, in the hopes that if I do an episode on that game, it's coming out soon. I have 2 or 3 games that I have no excuses left outside of layout and just put it out, and really, I could do that plain text, just so that way it's out there and people can play it with a few games, and I think that that's just the way to go. So I'd love to do that, and I think that after, January, February, I'll probably do like a 4-month run of week 4s where I dive into the heavy lifting of Christian and my game Gardens of Rust, which the quick start is 99% done. And we are actually planning on maybe pitching this to a publisher, and depending on how that goes, a quick start may be coming out soon, or it may be coming out later, but even bigger than we could ever hope to imagine, if all goes insanely well. So fingers crossed, we'll see about that. So if you like that idea, I know my design episodes don't really download all that well, because I think that people want to hear games that exist and not games that are just rattling around in my brain. But that's why I want to do these episodes, because if I put out an episode, I'll pretty much put myself accountable to say, this will be out by the next one. And you know what? There's another way I can hold myself accountable, and this is a new thing I want to do for 2026. I would like to do a once a month Twitch stream where it's just me, maybe I'm joined by a guest, where towards the end of the month, I'm going to have a 1.5 hour Twitch stream, which is just me diving into some stuff that I don't do on the podcast that I do like when I hear other people do. So I think that's where Mining Media is going to go. I have a little outline for what the monthly stream might look like. I think this is where Mining Media might go as like a monthly book club. Come join on the Twitch stream, hang out, we'll talk about, for January, I'm just going to have to talk about a book that I've been reading or something like that. But then during the first stream, we as me and the chat will discuss some options, and maybe we'll choose something and say, okay, so for February's episode, Mining Media Book Club will be about this book or TV show or movie or video game. Everybody, try and get even a little bit of familiarity with it. Read the book if you can, play the game if you can. You don't have to finish it. And then we're going to talk about what from that is valuable to bring into TTRPG tables, campaigns, ideas, mechanics, anything. So I think that's where Mining Media fits, and it seems good because Mining Media always felt to me like it should be more of a conversation with people. So bringing it to a Twitch stream seems fun. Let me know if you like that. Other things I would do on this monthly Twitch stream would be stuff like live design noodling, especially with stuff that I put out in week 4. I'll be talking about, hey, where am I at with this game? Hey, I had this idea. How do people like this? Let's test this out real quick. Does anybody have an idea for, I need an inspirational question for this tarot card for this game. Does anybody have any good ideas? And then I'll shout you out in the PDF or whatever. Stuff like that. I can do some behind the scenes stuff about my solo series, about the games that I'm playing on the podcast, because I never really dive into how I feel about the game. I'm just playing it, stream of consciousness when I do the podcast. So if anybody has questions about how do you approach this in the game, want to see what my prep looks like, want to see what anything like that, like prep for my home games, right? Like I talk a lot about my home games and my work game, but this could be an opportunity to say, where do you get these ideas? How do you prep for something fast if you didn't have time? Or like, how much time do I put into like the big set pieces? We could talk about that stuff. And then lastly, I imagine this is a great place to do like a new game show and tell, right? Oh, here's all the games that I've gotten in since last month's stream, which sadly will probably not be a small pile every year because I have a problem. But we can talk about the games that I got in, we can do little flip throughs of them, talk about what they're about, talk about the game, the designer, just give them a little bit of attention because you never know when something might click with someone. We can even look forward and maybe I'll share my screen and we'll take a look at like BackerKit and Kickstarter and say, what are some big crowdfunding games that are coming up soon? Let's take a look at the quick start. Let's do a little read through. Let's see if this scratches any itches we didn't know we had, or if you're getting excited about this. Does this seem like a game that anybody's excited about? Just, it's a place to talk about more games that may be coming out. I know in the TTRPG community, we tend to have an issue with new and shiny, and, an incredible game that maybe came out last year isn't getting attention a year later because people are playing it, but there's not enough places to hype it in a world where there's 25 great looking Kickstarter backer kits at any given time, right? So, but it's a place, this is an idea. I'd love to commit to this and start doing some Twitch streams once a month, and then those will go up on YouTube. Maybe I can get a little more of an audience over there about stuff, get them to join the DMs of the Dark Discord so we can talk more about what's working, what's not, what people like, what I should be focusing on. If I'm completely delusional and think that my design ideas are good and people are like, stop it, just play more games, heard, will do what I can. So yeah, I think that's, 2025 felt like a really great year for this podcast. I think that I really got in the groove of the schedule. I know what I can do, what I can turn around when, and statistically, I don't know if 10,000 downloads is a lot. I know compared to like the McElroy brothers and, Glass Cannon and stuff like that, it's peanuts. But to me, a one-person project here from my office feels pretty awesome. So thank you again so much. You know what? Shout out to my listeners in Nepal. I don't know who you are, but you are so consistent, and I hope that you are safe over there from the craziness that happened there a few months ago. Heck yeah, wave that One Piece flag, fight the good fight, and I hope that listening to me inspires you or just helps you guys relax. That's awesome. Thank you. And I doubt you are, but I love to joke that I imagine it is some kind of enlightened Buddhist monk who's listening to me play games and just go, this kid gets it. However, really shout out to all of you. There are a lot of countries I get downloads from, and I'm like, this must be a VPN. But if you are out there in some of these other countries that I'm getting regular downloads from, I am so appreciative that you spend some of your time with me every week or whenever you can. And I hope that 2026 is another great year of great games and fun, and let's build this community up a little bit better, and maybe I can get some games out. One thing I do want to say before I leave, even if I get these games out, I put a lot of work into them. These may cost a little bit of money, but even with the Twitch stream, and these are things that I notice people do with the Patreon. Join our Patreon, then you get access to our once a month live stream, Q&As, and you get access to all these things. I never want to put any of my content behind a paywall because I'm not doing this for a living. I'm doing this for fun. However, if you ever want to throw a few bucks my way, the coffee exists, and I admittedly am not good at keeping up with it. I think mainly because it is a place where I'm asking for money, and to me that just feels wrong for something like this. But for my games, which I put a lot of work into, and our creation of labor and effort and love, it may be $5. I don't know how much I'll ever charge for those, but if you need one and you don't have that money, just email me at rainyplaysgamespod@gmail.com, and I'm happy to send you my games. All right, and with that, I'm going to let you go because New Year's Eve is coming up soon. I hope that you had a wonderful holiday season. I hope that wherever you are, the world is not quite so chaotic. And I hope that 2025 ends on a wonderful note and 2026 kicks it off even better. May it bring you many, 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 many fun games. See you there.